So remember that they're changing my voice. So anyone who's studied cults or hate groups or groups that do psychological operations anywhere near as much as I have, they know for sure that the major way racism is propounded is semi-subtle, okay? They might say things like, speak proper English, right? They might say things like, I don't like guys with curly hair and stare at you while they're technically talking to a white person, right? It's subtle. When you look at the psychological operation here, it is not so subtle, and at times it's subtle. The goal is to fill me with racial animosity and to then piss me off more. Okay, there's many goals. Some of the goals are these things, right? To piss me off more because of the censorship on the internet and the suppression of the videos. So if somebody had you like in a room in the middle of nowhere, which is similar to the effect they have here when people aren't listening to me and people are in different cultures and I can't just walk up to someone on the street and talk to them about it, okay, and they turn your family and friend against you, right? So if someone had you in the room in the middle of nowhere and they're giving you a hard time all the time, right, you'd want to explain to people that they're sick and that someone should do something, what have you. And you'd also be more mad if, those police and military and various groups that are supposed to kind of report on this who don't do anything. You'd be mad. And we all know that the military is basically a white supremacist grouping of people, right? And there's token minorities there. They're ultra white. So if you look at people who are whitewashed and you look at people in the military, they're among the most whitewashed people, right? If they're minorities. And they're among the most kind of European expressed people if they're white. Okay, they're quote unquote clean cut. They move a certain way. It's like boarding school. It's like English royals. It's like military school, reform school. It is this fanatic sort of almost Nazi white way they have about them, right? Quite often police officers are compared to Nazis, right? And so when they press you with psychologists who enforce white social norms with psychiatrists, that's what psychiatrists do. Okay, if you don't behave in a way that's white enough, they gaslight you, they play stupid, and they give you a hard time. It's even called gaslighting because it's a play on words for gays light. So you look at these serial killers, the Night Stalker, Jeffrey Dahmer, right? They're gay guys. Serial killers, prolific serial killers, really prolific, are disproportionately LGBT. So we're child molesters. And so these are some of the most kind of fanatic and control freak groups in society, where minorities quite often they're used to not having control because they've been treated a certain way and marginalized for generations. So they don't have that control freak way about them. So I get this fanatic insistence from white supremacists, from Jewish supremacists, from LGBT supremacists. And even if there weren't groups like the Nazis in history and Zionists and fanatic right-wing people in Israel and wherever else, people would know that I'm right. They would see the spectrum, right? It's also liberals, it's also centrists, it's there. There's people trying to enforce their white culture on me. And not only did I not conform to white culture, I used to wear, a gi all the time before they messed up the shape of my body, so it made it so I look weird with a gi on, which is what they did deliberately to keep me from wearing the gi. And they added chemicals to the gi so I can't put them on for very long if I wanted to, basically. Okay? And when my white mother sewed on a African patch for me, they had her deliberately mess it up. And she insisted she had the right way, and it came out looking bad to try to play me out. And these types of things done over a long period of time, they add up to resentment. I have every right to resent these groups for doing it. I have every right to resent society for playing stupid and not being brave enough to do the right thing while they claim to be Christians quite often, while they claim to be brave, they claim to put God first. I have every right to resent them according to their group, according to their individual actions and their complicity with the group's actions. Okay? Every right. Social media has no right to suppress me. These things need to be said. America has no right to suppress who I am. The world deserves to know that the most righteous person that ever lived is here now, and that the American government, as multicultural as it is, and the other governments have no viable counterargument. So they can't say, using what scale? Okay? Well, say it in a debate. They won't, because they know they look like dumbasses, because my argument is sound. It's precise. It's precision, and the divine decision was God chose me and not them, not the whites, not the Jews, not the Israelis. And I have every right to say it this way, not the LGBT community. I have every right to say it. It's true, and they've been harassing me in an extremely racist way, in an extremely heterophobic way. Okay, America is infested with conservatism, toxic democratic thinking, toxic libertarianism, and toxic heterophobia. This is the most heterophobic nation in human history. Okay, they cannot stand the thought of a straight Jesus. They cannot stand the thought of a mulatto Jesus. They have heterophobia. It's xenophobia, but it's with an emphasis on not liking people who are heterosexual, who insist on being presented as such, and their videos not being altered to seem gay. These people spaz out. Society is run by mass murdering serial killer thinkers. That's how they think. They sympathize with serial killers, and they mass murder. As the saying goes, you kill one person, you're a murderer. You kill 1,000,000, you're a conqueror. These are the serial killers who kill millions of people instead of just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and go to jail or whatever for killing a lot less. They are sick fucks. Sick fucks. And I tell you, get your tubes tied, don't reproduce. How many of you want to be pressed by psychotic sick fucks? What's worse than that is not facing them. When you do not face the sickos in charge, your life begins to end. As they say, our lives begin to end when we're silent about things that matter. What's the point of being alive if you're just going to obey mass murdering, white, Jewish, and LGBT supremacists who are control freaks, who abuse the hell out of everybody and cause 9 million people to starve to death a year, which includes 3 million children? The evil life is not worth living, and I proudly accept being screened out and fumed and poisoned every day, because that's much preferred to a life of being subdued by the toxic and disgusting evil that's coming from the governing class, that the managerial class and the rest of society is supporting by their lack of courageous and morally precise action. Thank you. Now, so remember, they changed all my pictures and video images, the way I look in all my pictures, all my videos. They've changed it because they're heterophobic, right? They've gay washed it, they've Jewish washed it, right? If you look at the person in the picture on the bottom left who says that he, not me, he hates Arabs, okay, and he supports racism. And they made it so I look like this person. I don't want to look like anyone else. I don't care if this person was a saint. I want to look like me, and I am God's image. And I'm masculine, I'm heterosexual, okay, I'm mulatto in a way that's African heavy, that pronounces the most righteous genes you've ever seen in your life. And they've tried to make it so I look like a Jewish person instead. Now, it implicates the white Jews and LGBT community. It's something gay people would do because they want to take away all people's appeal. It's something what white racists would do, rich English people, rich Germans, rich Americans who are white, because they want to make it seem like Jews are the only ones who ruin the cultures and ruin the world. This is something that some Jews want to do because they want to make it seem like they're related to the Messiah, or they're more like me than other groups of people. That's right up their alleyway. So it's not so important to me to pinpoint which group is the most guilty, whether it's the English or Israeli or American Jews or whatever, right? Or Russian Jews or whatever. Whether it's LGBT. Because they're all so involved. They've been making so much money, right? So many of them are billionaires. So many of them are millionaires. There's 22.5 millionaires and billionaires in America alone. That's almost half the world's millionaires and billionaires in America by itself. Okay? While people are exploited in the next week, while they're acting like control freaks, So these groups are the most guilty in the eyes of God. Okay? Just like the Romans and the Jews in the Bible. You cannot be against racism without emphasizing that the Romans and the Jews killed Christ in the Bible, and there were racial implications. Race and culture quite often go hand in hand, and the Roman culture was very much racial, very much governing class heavy. They had statues of people they wanted to breed toward. They wanted people to breed based on and date and have sex based on their norms, and they gave money and power based on how much people were like the cult statues. Basically, it's kind of scientific racism. Where they look at their genes scientifically and try to make it seem like their genes and their talents are superior, which goes back to the 666 talent gold tax that King Solomon collected, right? It's part of the mark of the beast, for those of you who are interested in that. And so what they did was extremely disgusting and evil. Okay, there's one time in all of history for them to make the most important decisions, and that's how you treat God's son. That's how you treat me while I'm here. They chose to treat me in a way that's unbelievably sickening. It's unbelievably evil. There's no words for all the evil things they have done. There's no more words for how much greater than them I am. Would you rather be just a dime a dozen rich bitch than the Messiah? No. Would you rather be some gay guy who can't resist but order people to harass the Messiah or the Messiah? Okay, you'd rather be the Messiah, right? You'd rather be the top martial artist ever, even if you're homeless, even if you're broke, unless you lost your fucking mind. Even if you were in the Inquisition. Okay? Because having lived as a piece of fucking shit, you can't pay someone enough for that. Especially when there's the piece of shit that, persecuted the Messiah.